Hi, welcome to Pro Shop. It's Pete here, and today I want to give you a quick tour of my workshop, plus give you an update on some of the cars and the projects that I'm currently building. And stay tuned for the end of this video where I'm going to let you in on a big surprise. So to give you an update on where the cars are at right now, I'll start with the EH. So if you saw part 2 of the EH build, you saw that it was just about to go in for paint and trim. Then I was going to come back here for reassemble. As you can see now, it's being reassembled. It runs. I'm just waiting on the engineering. I've been waiting on putting out part 3 because I wanted to get as much of the engineering process into the video as possible, so hopefully that will be done real soon. As for the Camaro, that's still out of paint. It's sitting in primer. It's ready for the final coat, so not long now. Okay, on the hoist here is the next big build. It's a 2-door 57 Chev Bel Air with a blown small block, a turbo 400 gearbox, and a 4-link 9-inch. This was getting built at another workshop, but it had come to a halt, so now it came here and I'm going to finish it. And finally, in my spare time, I get to work on this rat rod. Now, I won't tell you what it is. I want to see if anyone can guess. This is quite a rare car, especially here in Australia, as not too many were brought in. There's not too much left that's original, but anyone with a keen eye can tell what it is from its body lines. So leave a comment if you can actually guess what this car is. Okay, so just a quick tour of my workshop, and I'll show you some of my favorite tools and machinery. Before I started out on my own, I was working for one of the biggest and best limousine builders in Australia. As you can imagine, the machinery to build limousines were all big, long machines. So I got used to building on those sort of machines. And when these two machines came up for sale, I jumped on them. Both machines are 2.5 meters long, so they can take a standard 8-foot sheet, and both are capable of cutting and folding up to 3mm mild steel. The guillotine has an electric backstop with a fine manual adjustment. It's got lights to see the cut line, and one thing I love is the catch tray at the back, so all the offcuts just don't end up all over the floor. The pan brake folder is a manual over hydraulic, which means it's a manual clamp with a powered fold. All the fingers are removable both on the top and on the bottom, plus all the clamping segments, so it can just be set up to do boxes and other weird shapes as opposed to just having one single blade. Now, long before I was a bodybuilder, I was a mechanic, and before that I was actually a shop fitter or cabinet maker. So I love working with wood, and that's why I have a small table saw and a sliding miter compound saw. They are both hooked up to a dust extractor, which I've added a cyclone unit on the front, so it catches the heavier particles and drops them into the bottom, and that way only the fine dust makes it through into the bag. The main reason I did this was to catch the metal from in my dust room, which I'll get to in a sec. Out of all the things I have in my shop, when people come in here, they always comment and love my nut and bolt jars. I remember when I was a mechanic and we'd have this huge tray of leftover nuts and bolts. I got sick of it. Over time, I developed this little system, and I started screwing the lids of jars up onto a bit of board and sorting out the bolts as I went. And so now every time I wanted to find, if I wanted to find a stainless washer, I just go to the stainless washer jar, or a nut, or a bolt, or a screw, or a nail. Something really simple, and it saves so much time. Up next is my little Magni bend folder. This is a great little tool. Even though it's only 1 meter long, and it could probably max out at probably 1.2 mild steel, it still does a great job. It does all the tight, intricate folds. It leaves a nice sharp line when it does fold. It has a magnetic base, which actually clamps down the steel, and it has a handle, manual handle, lift up and bend and fold. Great little tool. So here I built this dust room for a lot of my grinding and welding. I've hooked up the dust extractor, and I have a couple of fire retardant hoses to suck up any sparks and dust and fumes. It works surprisingly well by keeping the majority of the crap inside these walls. Here above my drop saw is my offcut rack. This is handy to have up high and horizontal, as I can see the size of material I'm looking for, whether it's stainless, alloy, or a bit of wood. If I want to have RHS or bar or tube, I can just grab it out, cut it, slide the offcut back in. I do have a larger metal rack against the far wall for full lengths, but this is just great for all the small offcuts. So here I built this little workstation table. It's on casters, so I can wheel it around the workshop, and it has my linisher with a wire wheel on it, a small little vise, has my hand cropper. Underneath there's a hydraulic pump for my hole punch and dimple die set, plus my plasma cutter. This drawer front holds all the dimple dies and the hole punches, plus all the attachments. This is my main bench. It's a bit of a multi-purpose bench, as the top is hinged and halved. So I can have a full timber top for woodwork, or a full metal top for welding and fabricating, or how I mainly have it is this half and half, so a bit of both. Underneath is all my power tools, and in this drawer is all my panel beating tools, and then all of my clamps, they're all within reach. And out of the dust room, I have another bench. This is my tool bench. Has my toolbox, drawers full of tools. The cupboards, they're full of the specialty gear like the brake flaring tools, tube benders, air conditioning crimpers, heat guns, rib nuts, feeding tools, whatever you can think, I've probably got it. Now my two workhorses here are my Kempe welders, my TIG welder and my MIG welder. I love this MIG welder because it's an upright version. It's easy to store up against the wall. It's so easy to use. All you do is just set the wire size, the type of gas you're using, then simply adjust the material thickness to your welding, and it does the rest. It even somehow can sense when you're about to blow through the job, and it will drop the amps back while you're welding. I have no idea how it does this. It's some sort of magic. The only thing I've changed on this machine is the torch and lead. At my old work, we used to use Fronius welders, and I feel they have a better torch. It's just my preference and what I'm used to. TIG welder, it's a bit daunting, as when it lights up, it looks like a Christmas tree. It's an AC/DC, so it does steel and alloy, and like most machines nowadays, has the pulse option. Everything on it is adjustable. Also, the only upgrades I have is the extra long 5-meter lead, plus one of my favorite things is the flexible torch head. I've watched a lot of YouTube welding videos, and not many people talk about these, but I feel they make a massive difference and well worth the investment. So one thing I want to finally touch on is space. Now, when a car gets dropped off here, it usually comes with boxes and boxes of parts. Some are old, some are new, but usually I'll hold on to them until the car's finished. Also, because I prefer to build the car to around 95% before it goes off the paint, I will then strip the car down to a shell and send it off, storing all the parts, waiting for the car to return for the final fit up. Upstairs, there are shelves full of parts. We have fuel tanks, radiators, exhaust, seats, bonnets, guards. Here's the wiring harness for the electric combi that's been at the paint shop for over 2 years now. So that's what's going on here at Pro Shop. I hope you enjoyed my little tour, and for those that stuck around, here's the big surprise. A bigger factory.